On the wall of your home, right now, there is something you have been walking past for weeks, maybe months. A small gray tube pressed against the brick. Rough, textured, hand-built. You have told yourself you will scrape it off one day. Maybe you have even picked up a tool, walked over to it, and stopped. Something held you there. Listen to that instinct. Stop again, this time for good. Because inside that tube of dried clay is one of the most sophisticated biological operations happening on your property right now. And if you destroy it, you are not removing an eyesore. You are removing a precision predator that does work no chemical, no trap, and no human hand can dream of replicating. Let me show you what is inside. That tube was built by a mud dauber, a solitary wasp from the families Sphecidae or Crabronidae. Across North America, you will find three common varieties. The blue mud dauber, with its metallic iridescent sheen like a shard of polished steel. The black and yellow mud dauber, with its impossibly narrow waist and trailing legs. And the Oregon pipe mud dauber, whose nest looks exactly like its name suggests, a cluster of parallel tubes like a small musical instrument pressed against the wall. Between them, these three species have colonized every structure humans have ever built. Houses, barns, porches, garages, shed walls, the undersides of bridges, the eaves of abandoned factories. Wherever there is shelter and damp earth within reach, they find it and they build. Now here is the first surprise, and it is a genuine one. The mud dauber is nothing like the wasps you have learned to fear. Yellow jackets are aggressive. They defend their nest with coordinated attacks and will chase you across an entire lawn to make their point. Paper wasps will sting if you approach too closely. Hornets are genuinely ferocious defenders of their colony. These are the wasps that earned the entire group its dark reputation, and it is a reputation you should respect. The mud dauber is a completely different creature. She is solitary. She builds alone. She hunts alone. She raises her young alone. There is no colony to defend, no queen to protect, no social hierarchy that triggers collective aggression. By every standard of the wasp world, she is extraordinarily peaceful. Entomologists who study mud daubers consistently report that provoking one into stinging requires deliberate and sustained effort. You can stand directly beside an active nest and watch her work. Watch her land with a pellet of mud, shape it into the tube with her mandibles, inspect the result with those alien compound eyes, and she will register your presence with less concern than she would a passing breeze. Her focus is absolute, and her focus has nothing to do with you. Good. So what is she doing inside that tube? She does not live there. She never sleeps there. She never rests there. She builds it as a nursery, a pantry, and a sealed vault all in one tube of hand-formed clay. And what she stocks that pantry with is the reason you should care about every single nest on your property. The mud dauber is a spider hunter. This is not a casual preference. This is her biological identity, the role she has refined and perfected over millions of years of evolution. She searches for spiders, sometimes small ground dwellers, sometimes large orb weavers with leg spans that dwarf her own body. And when she finds one, she does something that sounds like science fiction, but is happening right now on walls all around you. She delivers a sting directly into the spider's nerve center. Not a killing sting, a paralyzing one. The spider does not die. It stops moving. It stops running. It stops fighting entirely. But its heart keeps beating. Its metabolism continues. Its tissues stay fresh, perfectly preserved in a state of suspended animation by the precise chemistry of the wasp's venom. A spider that will remain alive and fresh for weeks, incapable of a single movement, just waiting. The mud dauber carries her prize back to the nest, pushes it inside the tube, returns to hunt again. She repeats this process methodically, packing spider after spider into the chamber, each one alive, each one perfectly preserved, until the tube will hold no more. Then she lays a single egg on top of the last spider, seals the opening with a plug of fresh mud, and begins building the next tube. Inside that sealed chamber, the egg hatches into a larva. The larva finds itself in a dark and silent room stocked entirely with living food. It begins to feed, consuming the spiders one by one, starting with the freshest and working through the pantry in an order determined by the venom that still holds each victim motionless. By the time the larva has consumed every single spider, it is ready for the next stage. It pupates inside the mud cell, undergoes its complete transformation, and emerges weeks later as a fully formed adult wasp. It chews through the mud seal, steps into daylight for the first time, and flies away to begin the cycle all over again. The entire process, from egg to adult, from hunting to hatching, happens inside that small, unremarkable tube on your wall. And it has been happening in structures exactly like it for over 100 million years. Long before humans built houses, these wasps were building their mud nurseries on cliff faces and under rock ledges. They were perfecting this process while continents drifted and climates shifted. Your porch wall just happens to be the latest real estate. Now comes the part that changes how you see that nest forever. What species of spider does the mud dauber prefer above all others? Researchers who have studied the contents of mud dauber nests across multiple states found something remarkable. While mud daubers will take a wide variety of spiders, the blue mud dauber shows a strong and well-documented preference for black widows. In some studies, black widows made up a significant portion of the prey. Some nests contained almost exclusively black widow specimens. The occasional nest was nothing but black widows from first chamber to last. Let that sit for a moment. That lump of dried mud on your wall may be stocked with the one spider that represents a genuine medical risk to your family. The mud dauber is not just a passive inhabitant of your property. She is conducting targeted biological pest control on the species you most need controlled in the exact locations where black widows prefer to live. Wall crevices, garage corners, the dark undersides of garden furniture, the space behind the meter box. No spray reaches those spaces as reliably as she does. No trap hunts as precisely. No chemical treatment leaves the area as clean, because she does not just kill spiders. She removes them entirely, one by one. She carries them out of those crevices and stacks them somewhere else. If you have ever found a black widow on your property and felt that particular cold recognition, understand that the mud dauber working your wall this season may be the reason you are not finding more of them. There is one more thing inside that nest, something that happens when the tube is old, when the adult has already emerged and flown away, when the chamber is just a sealed clay coffin waiting to be discovered. If you open an abandoned nest, out fall the spiders. Dozens of them in some cases, perfectly preserved, dried and mummified by time inside their sealed chamber. Small brown ones, large orb weavers with faded leg bands, and sometimes black widows, their red hourglass markings still vivid after months or even years, their legs still arranged in the exact position they were in when the venom first hit them. It is one of the most extraordinary and unsettling things you will ever find on your own property. A sealed archive of your local spider population, collected by a single insect over a single season. A complete record of what was living in the cracks and corners of your home, preserved with a precision that no human survey could ever match. Some people find this deeply disturbing. Others find it one of the most fascinating things nature has ever shown them. Most people, once they understand what they are looking at, feel something in between. A quiet awe. An unexpected respect for a process so ancient and so efficient that it operates continuously, invisibly, on the walls of millions of homes every single spring and summer. So, what should you actually do about the nest on your wall? The answer depends on one question. Is it active or abandoned? An active nest has a wasp coming and going with obvious purpose. You may see her arriving with fresh mud or returning with a paralyzed spider clutched in her legs. If the nest is active, leave it completely alone. She will finish her work within one season. Seal the last tube, move on. She will not return to the same nest next year. She will not expand it indefinitely. She will build elsewhere. An abandoned nest, dry, sealed, no movement around it, can stay exactly where it is. This is the simplest option, and it costs you nothing. The empty tubes provide valuable overwintering shelter for other beneficial insects. Mason bees, solitary wasps, small native pollinators that need dry cavities to survive the cold months. Your wall becomes a tiny apartment building for the good guys. If the location genuinely bothers you, remove it in late autumn or winter, when you are absolutely certain no developing larvae remain inside. What you should never do is destroy an active nest. Not because the mud dauber will retaliate, she will not, but because you will be ending a process that benefits your property in ways you have probably never considered. You will remove a hunter that reaches places you cannot reach, targets spiders you cannot control, and eliminates from your local ecosystem one of the most precise and valuable biological controls for dangerous spiders that nature has ever developed. The nest on your wall is not a problem. It is a solution. A small, hand-built, mud-sealed answer to a spider problem you may not have fully known you had. Leave it there. Watch her work if you get the chance. See the focus, the precision, the ancient competence in every movement she makes. And the next time someone reaches for a scraper near one of these structures, tell them what is actually inside. Have you found a mud dauber nest on your property? Have you ever opened one and found the spiders inside? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. This is exactly the kind of story this community was built for, and every nest has its own story to tell. And if you want to understand what happens to the spiders that get away, the ones that are too fast, too hidden, too lucky, the next video is already waiting for you.